At this time, it is my sincere honor to present you with this award of distinction, to share with your family, to share with your friends, and to share with these wonderful members of Victoria Golf Club. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you to all of you for all of your kind words. Don't be alarmed, there's a couple of pages here, but it's only because of the size of the font. I was up till midnight last night writing this, and for those of you who know my ability with the computer, I was going to email it to the office and then print it off here this morning. I think I emailed it to the moon. It wasn't here, had to come in this morning and rewrite it. So I'm not sure if I've got everything down, but I thought I didn't want to miss anything or miss anyone. So here we go. I think life is to a great extent about opportunities. And in 1969, then head professional Paul Trapp gave me the opportunity to work here at the club. And for that I thank him. He's no longer with us, but he's with me in spirit. He was a wonderful man. He was a great person for me to look up to and learn from. And in those days, that's how we did it. We got the job before we became a golf professional. And then in 1984, after Paul retired, a gentleman by the name of Bill McCall, who was a member here at the club and the president at the time, offered me the position as head professional. They asked if I would take over from Paul. And that was what began another wonderful opportunity. And I think all of you golf professionals here this evening, all of the PGA members, it really is a privilege to be the head professional at any golf club. And in my case, I've always considered it a very special privilege to be the head professional of the Victoria Golf Club. In 120 years, there has not been very many people that can say that they, in fact, are the head professional here. And along with the title of head professional, I think goes a great sense of responsibility. In my case, a responsibility to my staff and to my fellow PGA members, because this is a showcase golf course. It really is. But the biggest responsibility I feel is really to the members of the club. And to me, it's always been, Colin, I think, mentioned working long hours, which I did and do. But I believe that that's the best way for me to accomplish what needed to be done. And as all of the gentlemen over here know, if you're the head professional of a golf club, that's 24/7. When you go on the town, when you go out for dinner, when you go anywhere, when you're introduced, you're not introduced as Joe Smith, you're introduced as Joe Smith, head professional at such and such a golf club. And I know that it's really, for me, I can't really remember a time when I wasn't the head professional golf club. It seems that way anyway. But the golf professionals at your various clubs, we are the face of golf in BC, and it's a high-profile thing that we do, and for someone like myself, not always the easiest thing to do. I much prefer to work in the background and under the radar, but it's something that needs to be done, and I've always enjoyed doing it. I would also like to thank the members of the club for being so incredibly supportive of myself and my staff, and of all of the things that we've tried over the years on their behalf, and all of the things that we've tried to do. We've always strived to be creative and innovative, and I really think that's very important. when you come to work in the morning, what can we do different, what can we do better? That's really the key to being successful, I think. And I think the best job security you can have is doing a good job. Okay? We have a terrific, diverse, and interesting membership, incredibly generous, both with the charity events that we are involved with here at the club and a number of other things, and such things like the group that got together and created that pool of money for the KPs for this event. I won't say who you are, you know who you are, but thank you for doing that. That means a lot to me. I think we all are aware that the handicapping system that we all play under is a great equalizer of golf matches, but I think it's also important to realize that the golfing ability is secondary, and I think golf itself is a great equalizer of society in general. You can take good golfers and bad golfers, you can go out there and have a great game. You don't necessarily need to be the same level of ability. You can't do that in many other sports. You can't take a good tennis player and a bad tennis player and have a terribly competitive game, whereas our system does work very well that way. And I think that's important to keep in mind. And I've had an opportunity to meet so many interesting and wonderful people over the years, and this way of bringing everyone together or to the same level, whatever you want to refer to it as. I remember, I should tell a story. I had the opportunity to play with the now former Governor General of Canada, a gentleman by the name of Ray Natition, who came to the club a number of years ago, was a bit of a golfer, and someone, I can't remember who, had asked that he could play, and we arranged a game with our club president, and I think it was Tom Erskine and Ross Woodland, our captain at the time. And we were told, okay, when this gentleman arrives in the limo, you're spoken to, you address him always as Your Excellency. So we said, fine, we can do that. So he arrived, and good afternoon, Your Excellency. Nice to have you here. We were right on the first tee, and he hit it off the first tee, and it's a nice shot, Your Excellency. And then he hit it into the trees, and it was that bad luck, Your Excellency. And that was a poor break in bunker, Your Excellency. And this went on till we got to the second tee, and he said, gentlemen, let's for the rest of the afternoon, because we're playing golf, please just call me Ray. So it was nice shot, Ray. Bad luck, Ray. And of course the needle came out. But that was kind of fun. And the other thing I remember about that gentleman was afterwards in the locker room we'd have one beer, and he had a bit of an entourage with him, people in white gloves and uniforms and that sort of thing. And we were having such a great time. He said, let's have another beer. So we decided to have another beer, and the gentleman waiting for him said, sir, we really need to get going. And he said, we're going to have another beer. The hospital opening in Prince George will have to wait. That was cool. It really was. I've had the opportunity to meet and play golf with so many interesting people over the years, from Wayne Gretzky and Steve Nash, who's a member here. I can recall the second, I think it was the second Cornwall Classic a number of years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, being in the shower room, and there was Steve Nash and myself and Ron McLean and a man named Jim Jerome, who was the MC of the event. And I remember we were trying to convince Ron McLean to roast Stephen Petzing, because he'd done it the year before, and we could not get him to do it. But it was, I can still picture in my mind Steve Nash and we're all wrapped in towels, trying to convince Ron McLean, who was actually from Hockey Night in Canada, a very evil man. He really is. Anyway, we didn't succeed, and Jim Jerome toned it down, and that was the end of that one. People like Pam Anderson, who was at that, interesting people, TV people, movie people, you know, lots of them, too many politicians to name, not that you'd want that anyway. I had the opportunity to meet Sam Snead and Byron Nelson very briefly, many years ago.
You are old.
Yeah. I know. Recently, about 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to spend an afternoon with Johnny Miller, who was here for one day to put on a clinic. It was looked after by one of our members, and it was really interesting. And we ended up on the par 3 7th, and the idea was that the players who were playing in the small group would go through there, and Johnny would hit a shot for them or give them a tip or whatever. And it was an October day, kind of cold, and we're up on the par 3, and that was one of the reasons that we played that tee today, because I wanted to tell you this story. Johnny Miller looked at this hole and said, "This might be the best par 3 I've ever seen." And I said, "You're right, it might be." And then he grabbed a 5-wood out of his bag, dropped the ball about where we played today, and into a pretty good breeze. And the pin was about the same place on the left-hand side. And he hit the purest 5-wood you've ever seen, landed right by the hole, stopped about 2 feet behind the hole. That was very impressive, and I actually got a picture of it. I got a picture of him at the top of his backswing, and it was perfect. His swing is still perfect. The man cannot putt. That's his only problem. There's a lot of that going around, I know. And I only used the long putter and the short putter once. The 7th tee, one other thing, there's a tree, it's a cypress tree, planted at the back of it because of a gentleman by the name of Don Francis, who was a manager here a number of years ago now, and he used to take new staff members up to that tee and just get them to sit there and have a look. You're going to work here, and just make an impression on them, and I think it had its effect. And I also remember Tom Erskine, who I don't believe is with us this evening, but he coined a phrase that I know we've used for a number of things here at the club. But I remember sitting on the bench with him, and I guess there was a bit of a delay, and he said, "You know what? This is like having a seat on the front row of life." And he was right. He was right. And that tee and that whole area is so wonderful. I'm so glad that you guys got to experience it with a little bit of a breeze today. Would have been no fun with no breeze. I've had the opportunity over the years to serve on a variety of committees here at the club. Lord knows I've served on a lot of committees. I think it would be fair to say that my favorite committees would be the Links and Long Range Planning Committee working on the golf course. I think it's so important that the golf professional be involved and have input on what happens on the golf course. And I've been very fortunate to have that opportunity, and I really have enjoyed working with Jeff Mingay, who is our architect at the moment, having discussions. And I think I'm a closet golf course architect at heart. But I really do. It's one of those things that I really enjoy, and I'm sure most of you do. There's never any lack of ideas and opinions as to what should be happening on the golf course. And the other thing I would like to say about that is I have had the opportunity in the last 10 or 12 years to work with our current golf course superintendent, Paul Robertson. And I have so much respect for him. He is absolutely one of the very best in the country. And I'm sure that he's forgotten more than I'll ever know. But his guidance and sharing of what he does on the golf course has been important to me, because it's allowed me to explain to you, the members, what's going on out there. Because everyone comes to the shop, comes to me, why are we blowing up that tee, or what are we doing with that bunker, etc. And for all of you golf professionals, you need to know that. And you need to know it in detail. Colin has already identified all of the people that have gone through our doors. It's really nice to see so many of them here. I played with John Caden today, but Brian Han and Jim Goddard, all those guys, it's wonderful to have you here. I really do appreciate it. And I would also like to thank my family, Sean and Maura, and Jonathan and Stephanie for being here, and my sister Pam from Vancouver. Nice to have you here. They have been very understanding over the years of the hours that I put in. The only person here that's not here this evening is my dad, who he'd really been looking forward to being here, and unfortunately his health didn't permit it. But Dad, we're thinking of you. Perhaps next time. And I know 43 years certainly seems like a long time, but the reality is that it's passed very quickly. I've always tried to be respectful of the members and the club and all of the things that the club stands for and does. And I think it's very important that you can exhibit consistency in the way you do things, and I think it's really important to be a little like golf. How do you conduct yourself on the golf course? You don't lie, you don't cheat, not even a little bit. And you always do the thing that's the most fair to everyone involved. And that's how you play the game, and that's a very good way to conduct yourself. So gentlemen, do that. The winners, the past winners, I can't tell you, I know all of these gentlemen, which tells you something.
You know what that means.
Yeah, I know. Well, here I am just approaching my prime, Colin.
Oh, yeah,
But to have known people like Dick Munn and Jim Gibson. I played with Jim's son in the interclub match with Capilano this year. Stan Leonard, who played here in the 70s in the Lady Scott event. My good friend Jerry Chatelaine from Capilano, who for years and years we played every single interclub match against each other. And Herb Patterson, who was the Titleist FootJoy man for so many years. I actually got an email from Herb. He's 87 years old now, but he actually sent me an email yesterday saying that he would have liked to have been here, but he has pneumonia and couldn't make it. But we're thinking of Herb as well. Anyway, these people have all been such terrific contributors to golf in BC, and it really is an honor for me to be included in this group of people. They really are a very special group. And I think finally I've been so very fortunate for a very long time. Not many people have had the opportunity to say that they've spent pretty much their entire working lives on the front row of life. And that is neat. And I really do thank you for being here, the professionals for being here, coming and enjoying the golf course. We thought we'd give you a little bit of win today, just so it wasn't too easy. It was,
right up at 3 o'clock, Mike.
yeah.
On target.
It was a little difficult out there at times. It'll be a little better in the morning for you. And the sponsors, thank you for being here to sponsor the event. That's great. We do appreciate everything that you do for this tournament and all the tournaments throughout the province, and it really is important to us. And again, to the membership, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate you being here and supporting this. It's really very touching, and I'm not sure what else I can say other than thank you. So please enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you very much.